Hello, everybody. Jason Sarney here with PhinManiacs.com, and we are going to go into a Week 8 preview. Los Angeles Rams traveling across the country for the Miami Dolphins debut of Tua Tagovailoa. And I have Brandon Liguori here, one of our staff writers in the PhinManiacs Varsity College program, which Brandon will talk about. Welcome, Brandon. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Jason. Is this the biggest Dolphins game coming up this Sunday? I mean, Ryan Tannehill started as a rookie against the Houston Texans in 2012, but I don't think as many people are or were as excited to see Ryan Tannehill's debut compared to the people now that are about to witness Tua Tagovailoa's debut this upcoming Sunday. It's going to be awesome, and we're just literally 2 days away.
I can't wait to answer your question. I cannot remember a time, literally, this millennium that I've been this excited for the Dolphins. Literally, since we've turned on over to the 2000s plus, there's been some great moments. Obviously, when Ricky came in, that was a really anticipatory game. I remember where I was watching that game against the Detroit Lions. Just he dominated. But this might be the biggest debut, biggest game in the last 20 years, and that's not an exaggeration. So you're absolutely right. And before we kick into your preview, which you do a great job of really getting all the stats and all the matchups out there, it's on PhinManiacs.com later today. We tape Friday right now, Brandon and I, but we're going to air this Saturday morning. But why don't you just touch a little bit on that, how you started in your quest for a journalism background. You're a student right now, and you're, like I mentioned, part of that varsity program over at PhinManiacs.
So I basically, and Jason and I have talked about it quite frequently, I've been wanting to do this since I was very little. Journalism has always been a passion of mine. Just writing, speaking. I feel as if when I write a story, and I believe any journalist can kind of relate to this, you want to get a message out there. I know we live in, and like I mentioned in our previous podcast, that we live in a world today where it's all about, what did so-and-so post on Twitter? What did so-and-so write on his or her Facebook post? But I feel like I know like the newspaper business is not really thriving as it was back then, but I'm one of those people. And even as a 22-year-old college student, I still read the sports newspaper. I read it about 4 or 5 days a week. So I feel as if, and it's funny because a lot of people laugh at me as to why I still read newspapers and why I still go to gas stations and even Publix to pick up a newspaper. But I'm very old school when it comes to that, and I've always just told people, look, this is my ultimate passion. This is my ultimate dream, and I'm just not going to stop until I finally have it.
That's it. That's the keep grinding attitude. You hear that with a lot of Brian Flores' players. You hear that with a lot of players all across the league these days. And take it from someone from me who is a little bit older than you, Brandon. I don't know if people notice, but I'm probably double your age. But the fact is, you and your maniacs, you have an opportunity to get your brand out, to get your experience level up. I'm happy to do it for you. So with that said, let's talk about what you are putting out, your game preview. You got the 5-2 Rams, cross-country traveling on over to the 3-3 Miami Dolphins. Can't believe I'm saying a 500 team before Halloween and Brian Flores' second year. How do you see this game playing out? The floor is yours.
So this is an interesting note that I had mentioned, and I would like to mention it again. The last time the Rams traveled to South Florida against the Miami Dolphins, they were not called the Los Angeles Rams. This was Ryan Tannehill's rookie season. This was a Sam Bradford. I know a lot of people remember Sam Bradford, former Oklahoma product. Sam Bradford against Ryan Tannehill, 2012. They were called the St. Louis Rams. So that's my first takeaway when I was doing my game preview. My second takeaway is, do you remember the last time the Dolphins in general faced the Rams? It was 2016. It was Adam Gase's first season. The Dolphins had that incredible fourth quarter comeback. The team was down, I believe, 10-0. The offensive line was playing horrendous. I felt like as if Tannehill was getting sacked every other play. But that fourth quarter came and the Dolphins scored 2 touchdowns, Jarvis Landry, and the game winner was to Devontae Parker. Look, my biggest takeaway, and I guess I'm probably the 256th person to say it. You gotta watch where Aaron Donald is. I mean, his eight sacks is second in the league, behind only Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns. the Dolphins' offensive line, and especially Tua Tagovailoa, they have to watch Aaron Donald, and I mentioned it, on a down-to-down basis, because this is a guy that if he can get off that line of scrimmage in a heartbeat and he can beat the Miami Dolphins' offensive line, the offensive line members, you have to keep in mind that Solomon Kinley, rookie. So the Dolphins, and Aaron Donald especially, and a great head coach that the Rams have in Sean McVay, they know for sure that the Dolphins present a young offensive line unit. So containing Aaron Donald is definitely the number one key heading into Sunday's battle.
Agreed. And the way that I think the best preparation for that is, and the thing is this year, Brandon, us as the journalists on the fringe of the media, and students, we like to rely on the reporters who can get there beyond the field. But with this year, it's very different. There's a lot of, mystique and mystery with the whole COVID-19. So to see how they're preparing for Tua, to see how they're preparing for Aaron Donald in this debut start for a rookie, don't care about any injury concern. It's a rookie start against one of the best defensive premier players in the league. I'd love to see if they're working on really quick release passes, like literally not even holding the ball, getting where the laces are. Work with one of those balls with no laces, just hike and throw. So I'm looking for quick slants.
I was thinking about it last night too. And even when Ryan Tannehill was here from 2012 to 2009, the end of 2018, I don't know how many people really remember, but Ryan Tannehill had a lot of quarterback read option plays. And I'm thinking maybe Tua Tagovailoa, do we see some of that? I mean, I know he's coming off of a possible career-threatening hip injury when he was a junior under Nick Saban at Alabama. But do we see some of those plays? Do we see some of those running capability plays? Because we saw some of it at Alabama. Of course, Tua Tagovailoa's main threat is his arm. He could definitely throw a football deep down the field. And I saw the final injury report came out today, and I believe Brian Flores said that Devontae Parker is expected to play despite having groin issues, which I was going to tweet out a final injury report later on today. But having Devontae Parker is huge. I mean, you're adding another deep wideout threat that the Dolphins have. Even Preston Williams. I'm not sure really if Jakeem Grant is supposed to play, and I really hope he does because Jakeem Grant presents speed off that line of scrimmage. But yeah, I'm just curious to see Tua Tagovailoa's first play. I want to see, is it going to be a direct handoff to Myles Gaskin? Is it going to be a quick slant to any one of Miami's receivers? Is it going to be how we saw Ryan Fitzpatrick's first throw against the San Francisco 49ers, a deep ball that was caught by Preston Williams? So it's going to be very interesting, and I honestly can't wait. I'm just really my mouth is so dry right now talking because I'm just so excited to see Tua Tagovailoa start.
It's funny. It's like a crazy situation that the Dolphins now finally have this national game. I mean, not necessarily national broadcast game, but a national relevant game where people are going to be interested. They're going to need those score updates. They're going to need to see the cutaways. When the Dolphins are hopefully in the red zone a lot. You're going to have Scott Hansen talking about Tua a lot over on the NFL Network. So just to cut back on a couple of just injury notes, we do seem to have a pretty full set of practice participants today. It looks like Jamal Perry is going to be out and Adam Jakeem's questionable, but hopefully we have a Parker who's going to go. Jakeem Grant's going to go. I do think, Brandon, we have to talk about Jalen Ramsey. So if Jalen Ramsey is going to start to, basically blanket neutralize and leave on an island the Dolphins' number one receiver, is it going to be Devontae Parker? Is it going to be Preston Williams? What's your thoughts on that?
I honestly see a little bit of both. I think Brian Flores is probably going to throw out Parker first just because of his playmaking ability over Preston Williams over the past year and a half. And we saw, obviously, Parker's breakout season last season in Brian Flores' first year as head coach. Brian Flores and Miami's offensive coordinator, Chan Gailey, they're going to be very smart with this. If they see that Jalen Ramsey is holding Devontae Parker tight and he's not catching the football at all, they'll probably switch up a couple plays, have Preston Williams. But we can also talk about Xavier Howard because these are probably the top 4 cornerbacks in all football. You got Byron Jones, you got Xavier Howard, who I believe is tied for the lead with 4 interceptions heading into Week 8. And then you have, like we are talking about right now, Jalen Ramsey, a former FSU graduate, who he is a lockdown cornerback, and he's one of those cornerbacks too who will talk trash to you throughout the game. So let's hope that if he does that throughout Sunday's contest, let's hope that Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, or whoever it may be does not get ultimately frustrated, because that will throw off the whole offensive chemistry that the Dolphins are trying to create. I honestly smell an upset coming Sunday. We had mentioned the Rams traveling across the country. They're also coming off a short week, playing Monday night versus the Chicago Bears. The Dolphins, they've had 13 days to prepare for Tua Tagovailoa's NFL debut. So there's a lot of storylines that we could talk about in this football game. You got Aaron Donald, you got Tua Tagovailoa's start. You got how will Devontae Parker come off that groin issue October 18th versus the New York Jets. So, but what are your biggest takeaways? What do you want to see? What do you hope to see out of Tua Tagovailoa? Can you even give me a quick projection as to how many touchdown throws and who will catch Tua Tagovailoa's first touchdown?
Oh, well, if I knew who was going to catch the first touchdown, if I had that Back to the Future Sports Almanac, I'd make sure that ball was going to be worth something huge, because, that's going to be a really huge ticket item when that first touchdown pass is thrown. I'm not going to predict exactly who, because I don't necessarily care about statistics. And I'm going to really create this kind of theme throughout this year and really the career of Tua, because I have no problem at all with 15 of 22, 192 yards, a touchdown, no picks, 23 rushing yards when he needs to. Maybe he rushes one in. We don't need the 345 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks all the time. I would like to see Tua in timely situations be what Dan Marino was, that artist, that master, but not to need him to do it every single throw, every single play. Dan Marino did not have the ability. Ryan Tannehill did not have the ability. Jay Fiedler didn't have the ability to have a full team. There always the yeah, but. But now elite quarterbacks with skills can kind of flip that. But you might not have the greatest running back. Yeah, but you know what? Tua can get it out of this person's hands or do an RPO and create better strength for a Myles Gaskin, for a Matt Breida, even out of the backfield as receivers. So Tua, I think, is going to help other people succeed. There's enough talent that's going to make it easier for Tua to succeed, as opposed to maybe a Joe Burrow who's really kind of running around for his life. The offensive line is built to eventually succeed, and right now they're doing well. They're progressing. What we saw on ESPN, and I have respect for professional journalists all over the place, but there was a little bit of a miss on the last year they were the worst offensive line. Oh, on this metric, they don't look that great. They have a lousy running offensive line. But lo and behold, you got 4 brand new offensive linemen. You have a patchwork of rookies going in. 3 rookies have claimed a starting role in one shape or the other. There's 2 of them at the same time. And you're talking about the 12th best in sacks allowed, or someone in that middle range of the league.
Right.
This is a win based on this point last year. So Tua is in position to succeed. The offense is in position to benefit from Tua. So to answer your question, I think if I have to put a guess out there, it'll either be the greatest scenario would be a long play. Like that would make Florida explode with happiness.
Can you imagine if the first play is let's say an 85-yard bomb to
Jakeem Grant,
or even Jakeem Grant?
That would be the guess if it's a long play. If it's like one of those, I can't believe that just happened, where it was a 6-yard slant, Jakeem made a guy miss, and then that's the value of a slant throwing quarterback who could put the ball in stride instead of putting the ball at the first down marker in the middle of the numbers. But if a guy like a Jakeem Grant was in stride, catches it, cuts back, he's got the sideline.
I miss and goes.
If it's a long drive, I like in the red zone, I like a play action rollout pass, Mike Gesicki, or all he does is score touchdowns, Adam Shaheen.
And we'll see if Shaheen's Friday injury report listed him as questionable. So he'll obviously be a game time decision. And I know the injury report comes out about an hour and a half before kickoff Sunday, so we'll find out around maybe 11:35 a.m. But even if Adam Shaheen's going to go, that'll be 3 active, healthy tight ends. You got Mike Gesicki, you got Durham Smythe, and then you got Adam Shaheen, who I believe has scored a touchdown in the red zone in back-to-back weeks, the Jets and the San Francisco 49ers.
He's earning that money already, that contract extension. And to get back to what Tua, overall needs, he just needs to be that team general, the leader, the one who the most important throws are going to be the 3rd and 7s, the 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s.
Right.
That's what really has plagued the Dolphins over the last couple of years.
This is going to be a game, and I've said it, and I'll continue to say it. This is going to be a game where the Dolphins have to score touchdowns. Because we saw what happened when the Dolphins lost to Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. The Dolphins were playing the Jason Sanders field goal game. Well, Jason Sanders did connect on all 5 of his field goals. However, you're playing against one of the premier quarterbacks in our game in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's notching down your throat, notching down the Dolphins' secondary and defense, throwing touchdowns to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. That's why Seattle walked away with that victory. This is a team that they're 5-2. You cannot play the field goal game. You could have maybe 1 or 2 field goals matched, but every time when you're in the red zone, and Tua Tagovailoa knows this 100% well, I'm sure the offensive coordinator and Brian Flores is telling him this. Tua, when you're in the red zone, you need to fire the ball into the end zone. This is a game that the Dolphins, like I've said, cannot have field goals because 3 points compared to 7 points is the major difference against Jared Goff and the Los Angeles Rams.
Let's talk about that now and how the Dolphins are going to defend Goff, the Rams. I mean, look, we all remember the Super Bowl a couple of years ago when Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, call it what you want. It was his scheme. Was he calling the plays? Was it Bill Belichick? Flores' defensive scheme shut down a team in the Super Bowl.
Right.
This is generally the same pretty much offensive power team, save a couple of running backs, a new wide receiver or whatever. But what do the Dolphins' defensive players have to do? You already talked about the corners. What about those other guys, those linebackers? What about the pass rush? How do you see the Dolphins' defenders, all young guys really, a very young defense against this Rams team?
Andrew Van Ginkel coming out of the concussion protocol definitely helps. I want to see if Brian Flores and defensive coordinator Josh Boyer, I want to see if they dial up blitzes early. I want to see if they're going to play zone coverage. I want to see if they're going to play man-to-man early and often. You got to remember, the Rams themselves have some wideout threats too. You got Cooper Kupp. So I'm interested to see whether, like I said, whether the Dolphins are going to play man-to-man on these guys, whether the Dolphins are going to sit to a specific zone. So I want to see too, can Emmanuel Ogbah be that pass rushing threat that we've seen over the past 2 weeks? I believe Ogbah has, 5 sacks this year, which is pretty impressive for a guy that it's his first year in Miami. So he's learning under different schemes, and he's learning under a new defense coordinator because Josh Boyer, I believe, has not been Emmanuel Ogbah's defensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns or the Kansas City Chiefs. So just that biggest takeaway overall is, will the Dolphins run more man-to-man? Will the Dolphins run zone? And like we mentioned before, the cornerback spot, because we saw what happened in that Seattle game with Noah Igbinoghene. He got beat on a couple plays that ended up resulting in touchdowns. You can probably say that's why the Dolphins lost. You don't really want to say, oh, Noah Igbinoghene's 2 mishaps are the reason why the Dolphins lost that game versus Seattle. But if you go back to the film and you watch it, it was a complete mishap, complete miscommunication on a specific route, and boom, he was gone. So defensive, look, the way Brian Flores and I definitely agree with your point, whether it was Bill Belichick calling the plays or whether it was Brian Flores in that Super Bowl 2019, he shut down Jared Goff. Todd Gurley was shut down. Jared Goff was shut down. Let's call it how it is. That's why the Rams scored 3 points. So I think the Rams will definitely score more than 3 points though on Sunday. We should actually let's do some predictions. How do you think what do you think do you think the Dolphins will walk away with a victory, or do you think the LA Rams will spoil Tua Tagovailoa's professional debut?
I try to be as objective and honest as possible. For argument's sake, a couple of weeks back on a show, I said that we were going to lose against the Seattle Seahawks. And you know what? I'm not patting on the back. I'm saying that I'm not doing the homer pick here. I think they are going to get a win. I do think that this is one of those kind of intangible games, those magic in the air games, but also that's the Dolphins side. Look at the intangibles on the Rams side. They're a short week. You know, they have that, oh, man, we're going up against this Brian Flores guy who shut us down in the Super Bowl. So that's like being left at the altar. You don't want to see that person who leaves you at the altar ever again, because that's a very, very – that never happened to me, by the way, ever. But it's just a bad stain in that memory to go up against a defensive scheme. You might have some athlete, the yips, Jared Goff might, do a double hitch, might lead to a pick six, whatever. I do think there's going to be a big play, like one of those turnovers. The Dolphins have not had a special teams touchdown yet this year. Maybe it's on that, maybe a punt return, maybe a punt block, something that's of a spark that could lead to Tua's spark. I think it's going to be a typical Dolphin heart attack game. This ain't going to be easy, folks. This is not a 31-7 game. No. But I do think it's going to be good.
I think this is a game where it's definitely going to come down to the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a game where converting third downs is huge, because obviously if you convert third downs, the result is the drive continues. I think the Dolphins obviously containing Jared Goff, limiting any explosive plays by Aaron Donald, because the last thing you want to see is Aaron Donald getting behind an offensive lineman, getting to Tua Tagovailoa, sacking Tua Tagovailoa fumbling the ball, and Aaron Donald returning it for a scoop and score. So this is a game that's going to come down to the wire. I'm honestly going to agree with you. This is actually one of my upset picks. I think the Dolphins will win this game, just because the Rams are coming off a Monday night game. They have to travel across the country, so this is a 1 o'clock kick for the Dolphins, but this is a 10 a.m. kick for the Rams.
Exactly.
It's the West Coast. It's 3 hours behind. These are little intangibles that factor, and you got to also look at the weather too. It'll be curious to see if it's raining. How will that affect Jared Goff and Tua Tagovailoa? Will they throw the football more smoothly? Will they have a more difficult time? I know Patrick Mahomes played in the snow last Sunday, so it definitely won't snow. But we'll see if there's going to be bright, clear, sunny skies, or if we're going to have some drizzles coming out of Hard Rock Stadium.
The intangibles are extremely important, especially in this crazy, crazy year where I think that it's the team that's more prepared. You got 13 days versus 6. You got the team that's healthier. You got rest versus short week. It makes sense that this could be a good upset victory, but it's one of those things where I think that we're either going to see, as you said, in the fourth quarter. I would love to see the Dolphins be maybe down by 4 and then Tua lead them back on a touchdown pass to win. That's storybook. But what I would prefer, Brandon, is the defense to maybe be on the field to hold the lead. Maybe if it's 7 points, 6 points, 12 points. In the fourth quarter, I'd love a lead, a nice clean game. There might be a pick, there might be a sack. But if Tua does get hit, and you know what, guys, gals, it's football, he's going to get hit.
Good.
The best thing that we could see is if it's maybe on a nice little RPO, he picks up a first down, he gets tackled, he pops up, first down. The place will go nuts. The question will be answered. The hip will be fine. Knock on wood. That's what I got. Brandon, how do you see this? Give me an exact score.
You know, it's actually really funny because I predicted – it's actually a little fun fact that a lot of people don't know about me. I predicted the exact score of this past Super Bowl. I said it was going to be 31-20 Chiefs. My phone automatically blew up because I recorded a podcast on the night before the Super Bowl, and they basically said the same thing that you're asking me. Brandon, give me an exact score prediction. I say, you know what? Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs will be down in the fourth quarter. He'll lead a fourth-quarter comeback, and the Chiefs will end up winning 31-20. And Damian Williams' touchdown run made the score 31-20. But if you want a score prediction for the Dolphins and the Rams, I'm gonna go low scoring in this one, just because it's Tagovailoa's first start, and both defenses are not bad. I'm gonna go Dolphins 20-21, Rams 17.
That's a very similar score to, what I said on a podcast. I think I actually said 24-17, but I'm with you there. I think it's going to be relatively 20s or teens. If a team hits the 30s, that's a little worrisome for the debut. Can he do something eventually with all those, big time scoring games? Eventually, sure. But you're right. 20s to a high teens, I like that.
Yeah, I don't want the Dolphins to be down by double digits. That's another key factor, because if the Dolphins trail early 10-0, 14-0, 17-0, then you start to worry, well, what is going inside Tua Tagovailoa's mind? Because he's looking up at that jumbotron and he's seeing Rams 14, Dolphins 0. He knows that he's going to have to lead a double-digit comeback in his first ever professional start. That's pretty damn hard for a quarterback to do, for a rookie quarterback to do. But hey, by 4:30 on Sunday, all this Tua Tagovailoa first start will be over, and we'll definitely have a winner, unless it's a 20-20 or 23-23 tie.
I will say this. I do think that statistically, we are looking at a decent, not crazy game from Tua. I'll predict I don't want to give you the exact same score. I'm going to go 24-17. I do like that, and I'm going to stick to the gun saying there will be a special teams pop, a situation that just gets us all riled up. Could be the game winner, could be in the third quarter. But the most important thing, Brandon, I think, is something that plagued the Dolphins for years prior to Brian Flores, and even the start of this year and all the way back to the start of last year. Starting the game strong, right. Starting the third quarter strong. Right. You got to come out of the locker room fired up. You got to go into the locker room, make your adjustments. You pointed out in that Seattle game, that long Moore pass that just deflated them on that breakdown. That was after they scored. You should have been going into the locker room happy, confident, and then that was a deflated situation. Third quarter came out, wasn't the best situation. So start the quarters right in the first and third, and I do think they are going to get out with a one-possession win.
Just a quick question before we wrap this up. If the Dolphins win the coin toss Sunday, do you receive and do you take the football and do you let Tua Tagovailoa cede the field immediately, or do you defer it to the Rams, hope for a quick defensive stop, and then give the ball to Tua Tagovailoa and then get the ball in the third quarter to start the second half?
That's a great question. And it's what school of thought do you want to go with? Do you want to, keep the anticipation going and keep that guy on ice, let him kind of breathe in the smells of the game, and then hope for a Dolphin stop, which would create massive momentum, and have him with 14 minutes left in the first quarter jog on, taking over possession, maybe getting on the plus side of things with even a field goal, because that would be a massive win if Tua comes on in second possession of the game after a defensive stop, puts up any point. So I'm going to go with that, because if worse comes to worse, the Dolphins don't hold. I'd love to see how Tua responds. Having said that, we've all been waiting a long time, like a really, really long time to see this. So maybe they're saying this exact thing right now. If we win the coin toss, do we put the kid out there right away? Gun to head, I say stick to my guns, but I would not be shocked at all. I know it's a hedge. I would defer so I could talk to my quarterback and let him know exactly what to do in the second half. If you're up, here's what you do to keep the lead. If you're down, here's what you do to get us our points back, and have those 20 minutes in the half to really kind of gather yourself.
This is an interesting note. Correct. And this is an interesting note that I took because, excuse me, what if the coin toss happens while it's pouring down rain? These are like, I know it's little factors that we don't really think about, but if the Dolphins and the Rams are doing a coin toss in the pouring rain, the Dolphins might be smart about it and say, let's give Jared Goff the ball.
100%.
And let's get a quick stop because it's pouring here. The ball's going to be slippery. The field's probably going to be muddy if it's going to be raining the whole entire game. So even factoring in like the weather for Tua Tagovailoa's first NFL start, that's a good storyline that people should be talking about.
Well, admittingly, and a lot of people know this, I'm up in the Northeast. You, tragically for me, good for you, you're on like a beach right now or in Florida. So you know the weather a lot more than I do. And to that point, if there is inclement weather and the Dolphins catch a break in them being defensive first on the field and Goff fumbles a snap, someone falls on the ball, Christian Wilkins falls on the ball, and then Tua Tagovailoa has 3 plays to punch in a touchdown.
Right.
Win all the way. So I'm going to go with a heavy defer, no matter what, because no matter what happens, I think the second half would be beneficial to have to start with the ball. But great question, Brandon. And now I'll ask you a question of my own. What is the next activities that you got planned for your own personal brand here at PhinManiacs? I know you're going to be focusing on some college situations.
So concluding graduation at Florida Gulf Coast University, which is supposed to happen, let's hope, in May of this upcoming year. I'm looking into grad school at Florida International University. I want to pursue a master's degree in mass communications. The PhinManiacs coverage for me is just going to keep growing. There's going to be consistent articles that I'm going to be coming out with. We're like you and I had talked about, we're going to be doing this podcast on a week-to-week basis. I bring on a buddy of mine who I'm sure you guys have checked out some of his story. He does a lot of great work on NFL on draft coverage. Hussam Patel. I went to high school with Hussam. Him and I graduated in 2017. Hussam and I and another fellow PhinManiacs member, we're going to start doing a college show on Saturdays where we basically just break down the top players from the major schools that the Dolphins may be looking at for the 2021 NFL draft this upcoming April. Because you have to remember, the Dolphins hold Houston's first-round pick. So not only do they have their own first-round pick, they hold Houston's first-round pick. And let's hope the Dolphins get 2 top 5 would be unbelievable, but even 2 top 10 first-round picks would be ideal as well.
Absolutely. It's going to be great to hear from you and Hussam. You guys have both been doing terrific work. I very much appreciate it. So everyone, please check out Brandon's work. Check out everyone's work over at PhinManiacs.com. We'll be here all week covering the team that we all love, these Miami Dolphins. So thanks, everyone, for checking us out. We'll be back soon. For Brandon, I'm Jason. Fins up, everybody.